Report to the 5-star generals. October 29th morning global situation update. First piece of intel. The China-US rare earths battle is heating up, and Japan insists on joining as cannon fodder. On October 27th, Trump flew to Tokyo to meet Sanae Takaichi, and the two immediately agreed on US-Japan rare earth cooperation, even dragging Australia into an iron triangle. Australia provides the mining, Japan provides technology, and the US provides the money. The goal? To build a rare earth supply chain independent of China, even claiming they want to completely shake off China. But cannon fodder is still cannon fodder. First, heavy rare earths are out of their reach. China controls 92% of global heavy rare earth refining capacity, and F-35s and Patriot missiles rely on them. The US, Japan, and Australia don't even have a proper heavy rare earth factory. Second, the cost gap is huge. China's technology compresses separation costs to 1/10 of Western costs, with purity up to 99.9999%. Building a US factory would cost $1 billion and 10 years, and environmental approvals could drag on forever. To prevent a like collusion, China has kept a countermeasure. This year, a new regulation states that any exports using Chinese technology, equipment, or even 0.1% Chinese rare earths must be approved by China. So even if the US-Japan-Australia triangle builds a factory, their equipment and auxiliary materials still depend on China. They will still be choked at the neck. Feels like Trump is just trying to harvest the US defense industrial sector. Look at all the rare earths I control worldwide. Invest money, and you can have whatever you want. Second piece of intel. Republican senators revealed that Trump might deploy US ground forces to Venezuela. However, Trump has stated that he will discuss specific plans with Congress only after returning from Asia. The most critical part of his Asian trip is meeting with Chinese officials. The outcome of those talks will directly determine whether the US dares to act. After all, China is closely watching US actions in Latin America. Trump is no fool. Starting a war is a major decision, so he needs to gauge China's stance first. If China suddenly signals non-support, he will likely avoid rash moves. Only if the talks go smoothly might he act more assertively. Right now, the key is to see what comes out of the upcoming China-US meetings. Third piece of intel. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell still has 6 months left in office, but Trump is already in a hurry to pick a successor. He has tasked Treasury Secretary Benson with overseeing the interviews, and the candidate pool has been narrowed down to 5 people. The second round of interviews is scheduled for December. Why the rush? Because Powell hasn't been compliant, refusing to implement large-scale interest rate cuts. Trump has long wanted him replaced. Knowing Trump's style, the new chair's competence is uncertain, but absolute loyalty is guaranteed. Whoever takes the position will do exactly what Trump wants. Once Powell steps down, the Federal Reserve will effectively become Trump's private tool, allowing him to alter US financial policy at will, with stability thrown out the window. 5-star generals. Watch closely. This could trigger a new peak in gold prices. Fourth piece of intel. Lavrov revealed details of Russia-US talks. On October 20th, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke by phone with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, telling him essentially, talk in whatever way makes you comfortable. The subtext was clear. If you want to talk, fine. If you don't, we'll keep fighting. Russia appears genuinely unhurried. The United States first canceled the Budapest meeting, then backtracked and said it was postponed. Russia didn't make an issue of it and instead is leisurely controlling the tempo. Lavrov also exposed Europe's real calculations. When they call for a ceasefire, they're really trying to buy time to send more ammunition to Ukraine. Didn't the Polish Prime Minister already let it slip that Zelensky is prepared to fight for another 3 years? It's already been almost 4 years. Add another 3 years, and this becomes a 7-year war. A conflict that would decimate Ukraine's male population and drain Europe completely. Good luck, Zelensky. Fifth piece of intel. Is the US finally getting a dose of common sense? California Governor Gavin Newsom has announced he will run in the 2028 U.S. presidential election. Newsom, who previously said that the more successful China is, the better for the world, is expected to receive the Democratic Party nomination. Finally, a candidate who doesn't just cause chaos. Newsom has long clashed with Trump. When Trump imposed tariffs on China, Newsom asserted that California's trade with China would continue as normal. He never treated Trump as some untouchable figure. If elected, Newsom is likely to be more pragmatic, focus on cooperation with China, and help stabilize the U.S. economy, since Trump is constitutionally barred from running again. Newsom's chances look pretty strong. Report to the 5-star generals. 6th piece of intel. Ukraine is running out of manpower and is being forced into a new large-scale mobilization. This time, they aren't targeting the young. They're calling up retired veterans under 60 years old. Actually, Kiev considered this move this past summer and even drafted a bill. But the Ministry of Defense shelved it. Now, with no other options, they've restarted the plan. There are 1,600,000 registered retired veterans in Ukraine. The Defense Ministry says these veterans have enjoyed privileges and pensions, and now it's time to defend the homeland. In plain terms, the pool of young recruits is nearly exhausted, so old soldiers must plug the gaps at the front. They were previously talking about fighting for another 3 years. For Europe, until there's only one last Ukrainian left to keep fighting. 7th piece of intel. Zelensky failed to secure Tomahawk missiles from the United States, and his own Hype Flamingo missile program has also collapsed. He publicly admitted the project ran into development problems. Not only is the technology inadequate, but the Western allies' funding never materialized, so the missile cannot be mass-produced in the short term. In fact, the Flamingo is not a purely Ukrainian design. It closely resembles a missile developed with the United Kingdom and the United Arab Emirates, and has been sustained entirely by Western technology and money. Now that Western support has dried up, Zelensky either truly cannot get it done, or he is deliberately showing weakness to put pressure on the West.